What's up YouTube, my name is Gio, and I have never seen Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, as someone who's referenced anime more than a few times in this channel, it may be surprising that I haven't seen this iconic show. I mean, I've heard great things about it, I just never got around to watching it. So I decided to watch the Netflix adaptation first. Look, hear me out, I know it's weird, but when it was announced that Cowboy Bebop would get a live action version on Netflix, I figured it was a rare opportunity to watch an adaptation with no prior bias, to see if this new take can stand on its own 2 feet. Plus, I've never watched a Netflix adaptation of an anime before, so admittingly, I was curious to see if me not watching the anime would affect my overall thoughts. Is it a solid standalone show? Is it as good as the original? Or does it taint the legacy of the series? Well, after watching the entire season, I think I could safely say that it is bad. Yeah, even without watching the original anime, it was pretty bad. The first few episodes are okay, they set up the world and a couple of characters decently well, but it doesn't take long for the show to nosedive in quality. And it was at this point that I got very curious about the original anime. Was this adaptation faithful to the original and I just wasn't getting the appeal? Or is there something else that I was missing? So I grabbed a drink, played the first episode, and dear God, they butchered this show. Wow, nothing about this adaptation is faithful to the original. If anything, it's an insult. Originally, I was going to go through my thoughts on the show before I watched the anime, and then have a small section post watching the anime. I had a whole script and everything. However, after seeing how badly Netflix missed the mark, I couldn't resist. I had to start from scratch to really figure out what went wrong. So, sit back as I try to explain why Netflix's Cowboy Bebop doesn't work. And if you end up enjoying the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you're always notified when I release new content, and it helps with algorithm stuff. Also, if you want to follow me on social media or join the Discord, all the links will be in the description down below. And yes, there will be spoilers. There are a lot of differences between these two versions of Cowboy Bebop, but the first thing that I noticed when watching the anime is that the way it structured its story is completely different than how Netflix decided to adapt it. For context, Cowboy Bebop takes place in the distant future and follows a crew of bounty hunters and their adventures and their need for money. The main character, Spiegel, also used to be a part of a crime organization called the Syndicate, so throughout his adventures he ends up running into and needing to confront his past. And here's where the two shows start to divide. You see, the Netflix adaptation puts a lot more focus on Spike's past as a member of the Syndicate. From the first 2 episodes, we are given information about his time in the organization and are introduced to characters who have a deep connection to Spike's past, such as Vicious, who is one of the top guys in the Syndicate, and Julia, Spike's former girlfriend. The show puts so much initial focus on this plotline that it makes you believe that it will be the overarching story for the season. However, the anime doesn't have the same focus. While yes, Spike vs. Vicious is ultimately what it's leading to, the series' main focus is on exploring its characters, their current adventures, and them confronting their past. The best example I could use to help you all understand what I mean is that the anime follows a similar structure to the original Teen Titans. They often have recurring villains throughout the season, such as Slade, but he doesn't show up or play a part in every episode, as those stories are used to focus on the other Titans and villains. Cowboy Bebop does this exactly, as while 5 episodes focus on Spike's conflict with the Syndicate, the other 21 are used to develop and learn about not just Spike, but our other crewmates. On top of that, we don't get fully introduced to the Spike and Vicious conflict until episode 5. And what this does is it lets the audience know that while this is going to be a recurring conflict, it's not the main point of the show. Now, you're probably wondering how this is a problem with the Netflix adaptation. Well, the thing is, because the show has made an early impression to the audience that the Spike vs. Vicious plot will be the main focus, it makes it so that when they do 4 episodes in a row that have no connection to that plotline, those episodes end up feeling like filler. Now, filler episodes aren't inherently a bad thing, as they can be used to help out writers who have a strict episode count to follow. Hell, if you're a good writer, you could actually use filler as a way to develop your secondary characters. The anime Naruto is a perfect example of this. There's an argument to be made that a lot of episodes in Season 4 and 5, according to Wikipedia, are filler, but many of them further develop our other shinobis. Characters like Hinata, Kiba, Shikamaru, and Rock Lee all have episodes that help push them along their small arcs, and it helps create a connection between them and the audience. Hinata, for example, was first characterized as very timid and unsure of her abilities, especially when comparing herself to her cousin Neji. However, through these filler episodes, we get to see Hinata become more confident and even develop her own fighting style as a way to be on par with her cousin. And I'd assume it helps in building her connection with the audience into the next series. I don't really know, I haven't watched Naruto Shippuden yet, but as far as what I've seen, it works. Cowboy Bebop doesn't use its filler episodes between the main plot effectively. We don't gain any deeper understanding of our characters, rather it just feels like a side quest to pad out time. This is where the show's story structure fails. By having the audience front loaded with 3 episodes that focus on the main conflict, only to have 4 in a row where barely anything happens, it makes us just want to fast forward so we can get to the point. However, because the anime lets you know from the jump that this show is about the entire crew, these episodes feel more meaningful. It also helps that the character writing in the anime is actually, well, good. Speaking of characters,
Welcome to the ads, motherfuckers!
Netflix butchered every single character in this show. Like, I didn't fully understand how bad it was until I watched the anime. And damn, these people are only these characters in name alone. Nothing about them is similar or as deep as their anime counterparts. However, just because a character is different in an adaptation doesn't mean they are bad by default. So, where did Netflix go wrong? Well, let's compare these 2 versions to see what the difference is, starting with the character that created the most controversy, Faye Valentine.
Yeah, you can kindly off.
Before Netflix even released the series, the internet went into a blaze when the promo shots of Faye were revealed, as they weren't very accurate to the original design of the character. Now, this alone wouldn't be a big issue. Many adaptations change the design of characters, and people make a small fuss about it, then move on. However, everything got worse when the actress gave an interesting response to the backlash.
Hey guys, so as you know, our Cowboy Bebop first look dropped today, which was so exciting. And I just wanted to address a couple of things that sort of keep coming up in the comments amongst fans. First, I wanted to apologize to the fans that I did not anatomically match the Faye Valentine character. 6 foot, double D size breast, 2-inch waist. You know, they looked everywhere for that woman and they couldn't find her. It's kind of weird. So they just went with my short ass. I know. Am I right? You know, there was talk about, like, can we put Daniela in a time machine and maybe give her different parents so she has different genetic information to sort of make her look better? It proved to be too complicated. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was I want to apologize that the outfit I'm wearing is not exactly what she wears in the anime. You know, we tried, but doing stunts in tissue paper, things disappear, they rip. Sometimes it just got lost.
This guy is f***ing stupid.
Yeah, this was just not the route to go. Like, real talk right now. I will never get why people talk down to the hardcore fans of something you're trying to adaptate. Adapt. You know what I mean. That is a big audience that you are pretty much telling to go f*** themselves. But even so, at the end of the day, the design of Faye isn't really the problem with the character. The problem is that Netflix made her useless. Faye contributes nothing to the show, and I am not exaggerating. If I wrote down all her contributions, they would barely fit on a post-it note, and most of them are just the result of dumb luck. She crashes her ship in episode 4 and miraculously survives. She buys a railgun in episode 6 that everyone calls a scam, and it's just what they need to save Spike at the end of the episode. She manages to save Spike and Jet's life in the finale, even though she has no way of knowing where they are. Oh, and she also bangs a mechanic. Now, as a guy, I can appreciate scenes like this, but writers, for the love of God, would it have killed you to give Faye something to do besides, well, her? Now, compare this version to the anime. Here, Faye is a much more active character, often going out on her own to get a bounty so she can keep the money for herself. She has her own wants and needs outside of everyone else on the ship, and will often act in service of those needs. One of her biggest wants is knowledge of her past. For context, a long time ago, Faye got into a car accident, and as a result, was cryogenically frozen for over 50 years until she healed. However, this process left her with amnesia, so she is unable to remember anything prior to waking up. So if any opportunity comes to where she can get information on her past, she will jump on it. This plays into Faye's arc in the show, to where rather than focusing so much on the past that she lost, to be grateful for the second chance and fresh start that she now has. Even after she finds someone she knew before the accident that could fill in her gaps of memory, she leaves before getting any information, as Faye realizes that she's chasing a life that just doesn't exist anymore.
I'm still in the dark. I may never know anything about my past.
Doesn't really matter, does it?
Easy for you to say. At least you have a past.
And you have a future. That's what counts.
In the Netflix adaptation, she is still obsessed with learning about her past, but we never get any resolution towards it. It just ends up being a bunch of setup because the series is trying to bait for a second season, which I doubt it's going to get with these numbers. Hello, Editing Gio here, and while I was in the process of finishing up this video, it turns out that the show got cancelled. No season 2 for you. Oh, get fucked. Get actually fucked. Oh god, that's funny. Seriously, why do writers try to sequel bait when you don't even know if you're going to get one? So now we are stuck with a character who gets no growth throughout the show. She isn't even that likable. I mean, she gets the worst lines, just constantly dropping F-bombs like a napalm strike. I mentioned this briefly in my Birds of Prey video, but just to reiterate, I have no problem with the word fuck. I think fuck is a fantastic word. However, if you say fuck so much, it kind of starts to lose its impact. In the anime, when Faye's trying to get what she wants, she's calm and intelligent, only really losing her temper with other members of the Bebop crew. She uses her body and charisma to her advantage. She is a character. Meanwhile, the Netflix adaptation made her a cursing, useless prop. Jet Black is no better. The only thing he has in common with his anime counterpart is that they both used to be members of the police force. Other than that, everything else has changed for the worse. In the anime, he left the force by his own free will. He knew the influence the syndicate had on the police and didn't want to be a part of that. But he still kept a strong relationship with many officers, which helped out during several bounties. Jet in the anime is shown several times to be a strong leader, while his Netflix adaptation barely plays a role in the season's overall plot until episode 8. This version of Jet was instead framed for a crime he didn't commit, and this time around has a daughter. Both series actually have an episode that explore Jet's past as a cop, and I'll give you a wild guess on which one's better. Of course it's the anime. For context, both episodes follow Jet and his old partner Fad hunting down a criminal called Udai, who is the reason Jet is not in the force anymore. We learn through flashback that Jet was about to arrest him, but was shot before he could take him in, and resulted in him losing his arm. Once they find and corner Udai, we learn that Fad was actually the person who shot Jet, as he wouldn't stop going after the syndicate, who had Fad on their payroll. Now here's where the two shows make a split in directions. In the anime, Fad tried to shoot Jet, but ends up getting shot himself. However, Jet realizes that Fad only loaded one bullet, meaning he wasn't trying to kill Jet, but rather forcing Jet to kill him. Even after everything, Fad still had respect for Jet, and wanted to try to atone for his sins. Jet recognizes this, and even gave him a cigarette as a last request sort of thing. It's a somber moment that focuses on the grays of morality, and it's just an amazing way to end the episode. Now, here's how Netflix interpreted that scene.
It was a nice arrangement. They needed a guy on the inside, I needed a lot of money. Win-win.
I lost everything because of you.
I'm sorry, I gotta put you down like this.
Asshole. Is this some kind of sick joke?
Yep, just black and white, good and evil. No moral grays needed. This is a Netflix show. We don't have time for that. I have never seen someone miss a point so badly before. Not being on the same page, Netflix wasn't even in the same zip code as the anime. Just completely misses the point of the original episode, and that wouldn't be a problem if it didn't make it worse as a result. However, the most egregious thing the show did to Jet was honestly making him a father. And I say that because everything else he does revolves around his daughter, and it becomes his only character trait. Yes, in the anime he used to have a love interest, but she left him a long time ago. We actually get a whole episode exploring this relationship, and Jet ends up learning that he pushed her away by making decisions for the both of them without confiding in her, essentially treating her like a child. She's now moved on, and the episode ends with Jet accepting this, and even throwing away his last memento of the relationship. In the anime, this all plays into Jet's character. In the Netflix adaptation, him being a father has no effect on his overall arc. Most of what she contributes is surface level stuff, like a side plot where Jet is trying to get her a birthday gift, or making it to her recital. Granted, there is nothing wrong with having a relationship so simple, but with a character like Jet, when you had such a rich source material to go off of, this is just a lack of effort. He is Spike's partner, the captain of the ship, and you decide to give him no development or actual exploration of his character? What is wrong with you? This addition of a daughter actually contributes in making Jet look like a brain-dead moron. For context, in the final episode, Jet learns about Spike's past as a hitman for the Syndicate, as Vicious has kidnapped his daughter in hopes to trade her for Spike. Jet is all for this trade, as he is pissed that Spike has been keeping the secret from him for years, and now his daughter's life is at risk. However, Faye isn't on board with this, so she ends up leaving the crew. Jet goes to seemingly give up Spike to Vicious, but plot twist, they actually put aside their differences in an attempt to save Jet's daughter. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out, as Vicious was really a hologram, meaning Jet's daughter is in a different location. Now, this hologram is the first aspect of this finale that makes Jet look pretty stupid. I say this because he has knowledge of and has used this same tech before. So it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't want proof from Vicious that his daughter was actually there before making the deal. However, this becomes worse when you take into account what happens after this scene. Basically, Jet, his daughter, and Spike all get captured and are about to be executed. But just in the nick of time,
Welcome to the axe, motherfuckers!
yep, Faye shows up out of nowhere to save the crew. Now, at first, I thought this was all part of the plan. Jet and Spike would initially make contact, and if it was a trap, they would have a tracker on them so Faye could find them. But then I remembered something said earlier in the episode.
He put my daughter's life in a killer's hands. By my math, the slate is clean.
Well, that up math doesn't add up.
Thought you didn't like the math.
You're both idiots.
So, let me get this straight. You're telling me that Faye was never part of the plan? So, you not only forgot about the hologram tech, not only did you not go and find Faye to help with the plan, but the only reason your daughter is alive is because Faye somehow magically figured out where you were taken, even though she had no prior information?
What?
I'm sorry. Give me a second. Are you f***ing dumb? All of these changes to Jet only end up making him look stupid, and any other development he got in the anime, like him confronting his ideas of Zen and faith, are nowhere to be seen, assumingly to be saved for a second season. So once again, Netflix has f***ed the character lubeless. However, all of this is nothing compared to what Netflix did to the trio of Spike, Vicious, and Julia. I mentioned her briefly, but Julia was Spike's girlfriend from when he was still part of the Syndicate. In the anime, she only showed up in the 2-part finale, but we got bits and pieces of her character throughout the series. We eventually learned that Vicious told her to kill Spike, but she refused and instead chose to go on the run from the Syndicate. However, in the anime adaptation, they put her in a love triangle with Spike and Vicious. What? For context, while Spike was still a part of the Syndicate, he was actually best friends with Vicious. They were practically brothers in every way except for blood. However, over time, Vicious became more and more, for lack of a better term, vicious, which caused Julia to cheat on him with Spike. God, I feel like I'm reading some crappy fanfiction right now. Jeez, okay. Vicious eventually found out about this, and the night when Julia and Spike were planning on leaving the Syndicate, he ambushed him, leading to everyone believing Spike was dead. Which, let's be honest, he should be. I mean, look at this. My man took a bukkake of bullets and somehow survived. Now, as stupid as this new plotline that was nowhere in the anime may be, the relationship between these three characters are the core of this new main conflict. So, having it fleshed out is very important. And if I told you Netflix failed to do this, would you really be surprised? I mean, we get some focus on Vicious's relationship with Julia during the first few episodes, but After that, we don't really get much, as he's busy trying to stage a coup to become the head of the syndicate. Julia is just staying around out of fear for her life, which is kind of an insult to the original character. In the adaptation, all we know about her is that she's unhappy and wants out of the syndicate. Now granted, the show does try to make her an active character, as when an opportunity comes for Vicious to be killed, she makes a deal that if it worked, would allow her to be free.
I want you to take his head. He offered you what? 2%? I'm offering you the entire throne.
And what exactly do you get with this double cross?
A ticket out of the syndicate.
However, this becomes a problem real quick. Remember, Julia wants out of the syndicate, right? We established that. I mean, that was the whole point of this whole backstab plotline. So, can someone with more than 2 brain cells explain to me why, in the finale, when Vicious is defeated, Julia all of a sudden wants to be head of the syndicate?
Why would I want to be free of it? Right at the moment when I've captured the throne.
Why would you do this? There was actually no build-up or even hints that Julia wanted to run this crime empire. Her entire character from this point has revolved around trying to get out of this life. Now all of a sudden, she's deciding to do a 180? Netflix not only made her character weaker, but is so inconsistent, it's laughable. Speaking of laughable, Vicious. Wow, they really screwed with this one. In the anime, Vicious is cold and calculated, always trying to be one step ahead, even using Spike's past with Julia to kind of f with them. Truly a threatening character. On the other hand, the adaptation made him a whining, unhinged nutjob. I mean, look at these two scenes for comparison.
While you were neck deep in the bottle, your brother was stepping out with your whore.
He wouldn't. If Spike were here, you would never have done this.
That's bad. Really bad. Like, let's compare both of these characters' plans to become the head of the syndicate. In the Netflix version, we get him going to the other leaders and practically begging them to help him, only for them to betray him, leading to this stupid fight scene, where he manages to fight off a group of guards on his own because everyone feels like waiting their damn turn to go at him. Seriously, fight choreographers. Why is this becoming commonplace? Is it a fetish or something? Do you get off to the fact that these nitwits are just watching the fight before joining in? Because at this point, I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen this so many times, it's actually getting on my last good nerve. In the anime, Vicious doesn't ask for help from other people, as over time, he's gained enough influence within the syndicate to where he has loyal followers to help him take control. During this scene, he is calm as can be, because he already knows he won. That is a threatening villain. This guy is a f***ing joke. Finally, we get to Spike. Oh Spike, what have they done to you? Before I watched the anime, I thought Netflix's Spike was okay. Yeah, he has cringe lines, but he was written fairly consistently. His biggest problem being the amount of plot armor he has. This man managed to win a 1v5 fight, take down an entire criminal cartel on his own, seriously, stop going at him one at a time, and survived a fatal fall after getting shot twice. However, after watching the anime, this is an insult to the original. There is name brands, and then there's Walmart brands, and then underneath the Walmart is the Netflix version of Spike. Everything that made Spike interesting has been ironed out, and instead, we get a character who, just like everyone else, goes through no growth whatsoever. In the anime, Spike is a man haunted by his past. No matter what he does, something seems to always be pulling him back into that life. He's never able to move past his prior history, even when he tells other crewmates that they should.
You told me once to forget the past.
Look at my eyes, Faye. One of them is a fake because I lost it in an accident. Since then, I've been seeing the past in one eye and the present in the other. So I thought I could only see patches of reality, never the whole picture.
This ends up leading to his inevitable death that is very bittersweet. Yeah, he finally found peace, but if he was able to let go of and accept his past, he would still be alive. Netflix tries to do this with their version during the first few episodes, but by the end of the series, Spike hasn't really gone through an arc. He's the same character he was at the start of the show, and isn't even an active character after the first 3 episodes. In the anime, he is active. He takes initiative, especially if it involves his past. and is just so much deeper and better developed than this insult of an adaptation. I don't even know what else to say. This guy is just bland. There is nothing to go off of. He may be called Spike, but he has none of what made the original so interesting. God, when I finally watched the anime, I was shocked at how different Netflix's take was, and it really made me wonder, why? Why adapt an anime if you have no plans of following its story? When it comes to comic book characters, they have been around for so long and have so many different interpretations, it really isn't a problem when an adaptation isn't a one-to-one of the original character. With anime, however, there is only one interpretation that has a defined beginning and end, whether it be Naruto, My Hero Academia, or Cowboy Bebop. I mean, you could change the story and it could work, but why make the changes so drastic when you have a template of something that is proven to work? To me, if you're going to make a live-action version of an anime, the goal should be about bringing this world to life again, rather than forcing changes that just don't work. Like, they tried to turn this gritty, down-to-earth story into a comedy.
You guys are so lucky that I ran into you.
Honestly, this right here, it proves exactly why this version of Cowboy Bebop fails. And that is because Netflix just straight up didn't understand the show. I've said this many times during this video, but a lot of the original anime is about the Bebop crew confronting their past and trying to move on. Each character has a history that they need to let go so they can move forward. Look at Radical Ed, a character who's always living in the moment, is the happiest and most content on the show. Jet and Faye find it in them to move forward from their tragic past, but because Spike was never able to do so, he only found peace after death. How Netflix missed this crucial part of the show is beyond my comprehension. And if it is there, there is absolutely no focus and it's so hidden behind the craps of comedy, it might as well not even be there. I'm willing to bet that this script was a first draft. I refuse to believe there is anyone on this earth that would be so stupid as to read this script that would have more value if I wiped my ass with it and said, yep, this is perfect, no changes needed. You can't be this dumb. You just can't. Netflix not only failed to capture the spirit of the original anime, but actively made a version that could best be described as an insult. There are people out there who are much more familiar with the Cowboy Bebop series than I am, that can probably break down every failure that I didn't notice, and I encourage you to go watch those videos. But as someone who has just been introduced to the series, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that Netflix didn't understand the IP that they were adapting is why Netflix's Cowboy Bebop doesn't work. Also, is this seriously supposed to be Radical Ed? What the fuck? Anyway, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of Netflix's Cowboy Bebop? Did you hate it? Did you like it? Let's be honest, you probably hated it. I mean, the scores are atrocious. I mean, genuinely, if you like the show, comment down below, because I'm very curious if anyone out there enjoys this. Another video in the books. It took longer. It took surprisingly longer than I anticipated, but that is also because I was working on 2 videos at once. So hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, that this week you guys obviously have this video, and hopefully next week, crossing my goddamn fingers, you guys will get a character case. Yes, we're bringing it back, and it's going to be on MCU Spider-Man. By the time the video comes out, the movie will be out for a couple of days, and it'll probably be a game time decision if I'm going to talk about the new movie in the video or not. So I'm going to play that by ear, but video hopefully next week. I'd say about an 85% chance next week, but I like those odds. I like them. And hopefully we're going to do another live stream. Yep, we're hopefully going to be doing another live stream Thursday. I'm going to be pretty busy throughout that time, so I'm not setting anything concrete, but I'm hoping to do a live stream Thursday to talk about everything I haven't been able to talk about. I've been MIA. You guys probably noticed that when I'm working on a video, the most I do is just talk a little bit on Twitter, but other than that, I'm pretty much MIA because I'm working on videos. But yes, hopefully there'll be a live stream. If not, there'll definitely be one before Christmas. There'll definitely be another live stream before Christmas. That I can promise you guys. But other than that, I think we're all good. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys liked it and you're new to the channel, hit that like and that subscribe button. Also, didn't see the channel's potential, hit the same buttons, and turn on the notification bell so you're always notified when I release new content, and it helps with algorithm stuff. Anyway, my name's been Gio, and I will talk to you all later. Peace. Oh, I'm so tired.